Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, today I have a couple of stories. One in which this woman has a shimmering entity pass through her, and another story, this man is abducted by aliens and they subject him to invasive tests. Both articles are very interesting, but we'll start off with this one. Shimmering entity passes through witness in Queensland, Australia shopping mall, and read the entire account that this woman went through. In early 2025, a Queensland woman felt a powerful magnetic-like force as a transparent, shimmery figure passed directly through her in a shopping mall. Her mother, seated nearby, confirmed seeing this mysterious form, an encounter eerily reminiscent of the elusive Glimmer Man. This report was recently forwarded to me from a witness who read a previous post on the blog. Several months ago, in early 2025, my mom and I went to the shopping mall to buy some yarn for a project she was working on. We live in Queensland, Australia. After purchasing some wool at a store, my mom realized she also wanted white yarn. Being older, I let her sit down while I went back to get the white ball of yarn. As I exited the shop and walked towards her, sitting on a public bench, I suddenly felt a strange sensation, as if I were caught between two magnets. It felt heavy and intense. I grabbed the shopping trolley and exclaimed, "What was that?" It was such a powerful feeling, almost like a force field. At the exact moment, my mom told me she had just seen a transparent, shimmering figure pass through me. I'm not sure if it was definitely a Glimmer Man, but she said the form was transparent. It was such a surreal and bizarre experience. She saw this figure, and I felt it as it passed right through me, of all places, in a shopping mall. I considered asking security to check the CCTV footage, but I couldn't think of how to explain what happened. Very interesting story, folks. Was this indeed an encounter with a shimmering Glimmer Man, or was this an encounter with a demon? Because I saw one video in which this shimmering effect and human-like figure passed into this man after passing out of another person. So, what do you make of it, folks? Was this another Glimmer Man encounter, or was it something else? I kind of think it could have been maybe some random effect, maybe electromagnetic effect that was in that shopping mall. But what caused it? It could basically be anything I could think of, from mundane to magical. But let's just say, indeed, this was another Glimmer Man account, because it does sound somewhat reminiscent of the phenomena. Either way, a very interesting story, folks. And makes you think that these things can happen anywhere now, even in public view at shopping malls, where these entities could literally, basically just apparently accost you and literally change your view of the world. Now, before we pass on to the next article and read that one, folks, what do you think about this story? Leave some comments down below, because I would love to hear your view, if this was indeed some sort of Glimmerman account, or maybe it was a ghost that this woman felt pass through her. And would there be any difference if you did have a ghost pass right through you, folks? I don't know. But either way, it's something to wonder about. But let's move on to the next story here, folks. Invasive alien abduction. My secret underground facility experience in Arizona, and heard about this man who was abducted by these beings, and maybe even by the government, folks, who was then subjected to invasive procedures by these people and entities, and probably it changed his view on the world completely, folks. So let's read into his story and hear exactly what this was all about. In 1987, an Arizona man recalled through hypnosis being taken aboard a craft by small alien beings and led deep into a hidden underground base in Santa Catalina Mountains. Inside, he encountered armed human guards, strange laboratories, and unsettling medical procedures, leaving him forever changed and convinced his encounters are not yet over. Hello, Lon. In 1987, I experienced an event that I later recalled while under hypnosis. After the regression session, I was able to remember some additional details, including that I had missed about 3 hours during the incident. I was living in Arizona near the Santa Catalina Mountains one afternoon, and as I sat in a lounge chair on our back porch, I suddenly realized that I was being drawn into a craft by two small alien-like beings. The next thing I remember was waking up on a table inside the small craft. A guide greeted me and gave me something to drink. It was a stimulant of some kind, because I was not sleepy after I drank the substance. In fact, the taste was quite pleasing. I was then taken out of the craft, looked around, and noticed I was standing on top of a hill. It was dark, but I noticed a light near a cavern. I walked up to this area, and it was then that I saw a man dressed in a red military-style jumpsuit. So, this is very interesting, folks. This would basically say that there are humans working with these alien beings. And with the fact that this man that this witness saw was in a red military-style jumpsuit, then that really does basically speak to the idea that it is indeed true. But then again, folks, there have been certain stories people have said that basically would indicate mind control. In one case, which was a missing 411 case, which this man disappeared, but found himself basically a few states over when he basically came to. Basically saying that if he basically didn't get back to his family, he feared he'd basically disappear forever. Maybe that was a sign of some sort of mind control, or other accounts where basically the military has said to use similar mind control techniques to control their personnel. Perhaps this person in the red jumpsuit was under the aliens' control, as well as maybe the military if they are in cahoots with these beings. Either way, let's read on with this story, folks, and then we can discuss this and the first story read through in a little more detail. My guide seemed to know this man as he greeted him. I also noticed that he wore a patch and was carrying an automatic weapon. When we walked into the tunnel, I realized we were walking right up to the side of a large hill or mountain. There, we met with another guard in red, and I saw a computerized checkpoint with 2 cameras on each side. To my left was a large grove where a small transient vehicle carried people further inside. To my right, I saw a long hallway lined with many offices. We took the transit car and traveled for what seemed like a very long time to another secure area. I was then instructed to step onto a device that resembled a scale and face the computer screen. I saw lights flashing and numbers computing, and then a card was issued with holes punched into it. It appeared to be an ID card. My guide did not speak much, but did tell me that we had just entered level 1 of the facility. I was eventually transported to a lower level where I witnessed additional armed guards. I was then taken down another hall, and there I noticed a horrible, putrid smell. I then saw huge tanks with computerized gauges hooked to them and a huge arm-like device that extended from the top of some tubing down into the tanks. In a large laboratory-like room, I noticed a small gray being with its back turned to me, working on something at a computer. I was then told to sit at a table in the middle of the room. About this time, a man, human, dressed like a doctor, entered the room. He wore a white lab coat with a badge on it. The temperature in the room seemed awfully cold. By this time, I was frustrated and began to cry and tremble. Then, suddenly, I felt a stabbing pain, screamed, and the human doctor stood next to me and rubbed something over my stomach. The pain immediately subsided. Soon, I became drowsy and was returned to the porch. When I woke, I was laying on the porch floor by the door. For several months after that day, I knew something had happened, but I couldn't comprehend what it was. That is why I sought medical help. I have not had any other encounters, but I believe I will in the future, although I was never informed of this. Very interesting story, folks. What do we make of it? Are these beings abducting people? Are they working for the government? Or is it possible that, well, it's been said that the gray aliens are computerized bio-androids? Could it be possible that the military personnel that our witness here saw were some sort of bio-androids themselves, but designed to look like humans, perhaps? Maybe that proves the fact that the government has no idea what's going on, folks. But I wouldn't say that so soon either. Maybe the fact that these entities are some sort of androids would explain so much, folks. Why the government keeps denying this, because in reality, they have absolutely no idea what's actually going on. They're in the dark as much as any of us. Maybe there's some kind of conspiracy going on in which these alien entities are using proxies, these human-derived bioandroids, to basically pass as us and infiltrate our facilities, perhaps. It makes some level of sense, folks, but then again, I'm not quite sure I believe that. I think there's a good chance the government is in cahoots with these beings, at least on some level. But as I said, folks, I just don't know the real reality of all of it. And there could also basically be some level of mind control being done by these alien entities, or maybe by the government on the various human personnel, so that basically, well, in reality, while they're basically following orders, when they're off duty, maybe they don't have any idea what's actually going on, or maybe their memories are somehow altered. Maybe that's what's going on here, folks. Either way, it's something to basically wonder about, isn't it? But we're at the end. So please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.